Question from our buddy MK, who's been doing jiu-jitsu classes twice a week. They're both No Gi classes. And he says that, along with jiu-jitsu, he has a lot of other interests: boxing, Muay Thai. He does a lot of cross training and, weight and endurance training. He says on top of that, he has a 9-to-5 job, a family, and he has a lot of things on his plate, so he doesn't have a lot of time. So he's got those 2 days a week that he can train. And he's wondering if he's wasting his time. Right? He's kind of curious because he's like, I can only do the No Gi classes twice a week, and I got all these other things on my plate. Can I evolve in jiu-jitsu? Can I get better at jiu-jitsu on only 2 days a week, or am I wasting my time? So MK, thanks for the question, brother. And this question comes up a lot, honestly, and I think this is what I think. I think that a lot of times we get so fascinated, right, by the extremes, like when people go down, right? So when you're watching a world champion competitor train, right, you're watching like someone that's just, an amazing grappler like Andre Gavau or something. You're watching that guy train, you're watching him compete, you're watching the end of the spectrum, right? Like it's over there somewhere. You're not there. And a lot of times people, because it's so fascinating, people like to mimic that. I know that for me, when I was coming up, I wanted to compete and stuff, and so that's what I mimicked. But even people that I've found that have no intentions of competing, have no intentions of really like going down that path, will still mimic the training habits of these high-end people. And they feel like that if they're not maintaining that level, right, of training, that they're, not wasting their time necessarily, but they're falling behind, they're not doing everything that they could. And I think it's because people don't really, when they come into jiu-jitsu, they start and it's so addictive, and that feeling of progression feels so good that people a lot of times get very off track from what their goals are. And so for you, going to your question, you probably maybe have thought the same thing. Like you're seeing all these people train really hard, they're training all the time, and you're looking at your 2 days a week and be like, am I really doing anything with this? But you can get good on 2 days a week, right? Like I've had plenty of students who were like you, who had a full plate, right? They could only train a couple days a week, and man, they got really good because, with that downtime in between those classes, when they came back to train for those 2 days a week, they were there to train. They were ready to get down, and they were ready to put forth 100% of their effort because they didn't have tomorrow, right? They had to wait till like half a week to come back to the gym. And so for you, you're in that same boat, and so make sure that you make the most of your time, because I've had several students who were training too much, and either they ran into injuries, or in other situations they would train so much that when they would come to the gym, they were almost just kind of dicking around because they're always there. They weren't really putting forth that focused effort that they could, because again, there's always tomorrow, like where other people don't have that option. Again, what I think this goes back to is your goals. If you are training jiu-jitsu twice a week, only doing No Gi, and you wanted to be a gi jiu-jitsu competitor, are you wasting your time? Well, possibly, right? But with all your things, I don't think that you're really that worried about how big of competition. I mean, do you have competition goals? I don't know, right? But if you don't have big competition goals, then you're fine. I mean, because then you're training to just train. It sounds like you're kind of a guy that's into fitness and things like that. And I looked at your Instagram page, and you're a pretty in shape guy. So it seems like that's kind of your thing. You're kind of dabbling in all these things, and that's fine. Can you get good at jiu-jitsu? You absolutely can. And it's not a waste of your time, because again, your goals are not going to be the same as someone who's chasing jiu-jitsu solely, right? Like if someone who came in and they're like, I only want to do jiu-jitsu, they have a different path than yours. And again, you don't want to get caught up in that, because there's times like where, like for me, I used to lift weights a lot. Like right now I lift maybe 3 days a week. But like when I go to the gym sometimes, because I'll actually go to like a real gym, like gym. I'll go to like a weightlifting, like weight training gym, like where they, all the meatheads go. Because like no one knows me, so I can just talk and lift, and like it's kind of like a different place. And when I go there, I have to catch myself, because back in the day I used to lift some heavy weight, and like now I'll go in there and I'll put some weight on the bar, and some of these young guys will come in who are just lifting weights, and they'll start to slap on more plates and more plates. And I want to deep down, I want to chase with them, because I want to like, all right, I'll slap some more plates on too, and we'll just kind of keep going up together. But I've got to remember that I'm not going down the same path that they're going on. I do jiu-jitsu and I do all these other things. My body simply doesn't need to go down that same amount of punishment in the weight room. Whereas that's all they're doing, so they can do that. And like you're doing all these different things. So, you don't need to put forth like a full week of training. 2 days a week is going to be fine for you just to train. Now, what I would say to you is if you start to get the itch to compete, that's where you might want to say, okay, well, for a period of time, I'm going to back off from some of these other activities as much so I can put more focus into jiu-jitsu. And then if you decide that, oh, well, I'm getting ready for this like CrossFit competition or maybe some sort of weight training competition, well, then you can maybe back off a day from jiu-jitsu and put that in towards that. It all goes back again to what are your goals? What are you doing this for? And so I think I've made my point, MK, but again, the simple answer is no, you're not wasting your time, right? If you're on the mat, you're getting better, you're doing a sport, a martial art that you love, then no, you're not wasting your time. It just comes down to your goals. What are your goals? Stay in line with those and remember those, and you'll be fine. So, hope that helps. Thank you for the question, brother. I'll talk to you guys next time.